She thought Thanksgiving would be the happiest day of her life. A loving husband, a best friend under the same roof, and a baby on the way. But when she picked up the wrong phone, everything shattered. Imagine discovering that your husband, the man you built your life and brand with, was sleeping with your best friend while you were 7 months pregnant. This is the story of Sarah Miller, the influencer who went from perfect family goals to global revenge icon. What she did next on Thanksgiving Day shocked millions. And her 3 words, "Happy Thanksgiving, Michael," became the most viral moment of her life. Stay till the end, because trust me, you won't believe how this story ends. If you love stories of betrayal, revenge, and sweet justice, hit that like button, drop a comment with your thoughts, share this with someone who loves drama, and don't forget to subscribe so you never miss the next twist. The kitchen smelled like rosemary and butter, the kind of warm, golden scent that made 300,000 Instagram followers double tap without thinking. Sarah Miller adjusted her phone on its ring light stand, smoothing her cashmere sweater over her 7-month baby bump. Everything had to be perfect. Not just look perfect, be perfect. "Good morning, beautiful souls," she said to the camera, her smile practiced but genuine. "It's Thanksgiving morning in the Miller house, and I am feeling so grateful. Day 30 of our gratitude challenge, and today is extra special." She picked up a gleaming copper pot, angling it so the light caught just right. Behind her, the Manhattan skyline glittered through floor-to-ceiling windows, a view that had cost Michael more than most people made in 5 years. But that was before the startup struggles, before the investor meetings that seemed to go nowhere, before the stress lines that had started appearing around his eyes. "Today I'm making my grandmother's sage stuffing," Sarah continued, her voice warm and inviting. "But first, let me share what I'm grateful for. My incredible husband, Michael, who's already at the office closing a huge deal. Yes, even on Thanksgiving. That's the dedication that's going to make him successful." She paused, hand on her belly as the baby kicked. The movement was visible through her sweater, and the comments started flooding in immediately. Heart emojis, baby bottles, prayers for a healthy delivery. "I'm grateful for this miracle baby," she said, her voice catching slightly. This part wasn't performance. After 2 miscarriages, after the fertility treatments, after the nights she'd cried in the bathroom while Michael slept, this baby was everything. "And I'm grateful for my best friend Lily, who moved in with us during her divorce. That's what real friendship looks like, being there during the hard times." A door slammed somewhere in the penthouse. Sarah's smile flickered but held. "Lily, is that you?" she called out. Lily Harper appeared in the doorway, yoga mat under one arm, her athletic wear showing off the body she'd built into a brand. 300,000 followers of her own, all devoted to her Lean Life with Lily fitness program. Her blonde hair was pulled back in a perfect ponytail, but there was something off about her expression. A tightness around her mouth, a way of not quite meeting Sarah's eyes. "Morning, Lily said, grabbing a green juice from the fridge. "You're up early." "It's Thanksgiving," Sarah said, turning back to her phone. "Lily's here, everyone. Say hi, Lil." Lily waved half-heartedly at the camera. "Hi, Sarah's followers. Don't forget to stretch today, even if you're eating your body weight in turkey." The comments section exploded with requests for a joint workout video, suggestions for postpartum fitness plans, hearts and fire emojis for their friendship. Sarah and Lily, college roommates turned influencer duo, the perfect example of women supporting women. "Michael already left?" Lily asked too casually. Sarah nodded, whisking eggs for the stuffing. "Emergency investor meeting. He promised he'd be back by 2 for dinner." "You know how it is, startup life doesn't stop for holidays." "Right," Lily said, taking a long drink of her juice. "Startup life." Something in her tone made Sarah look up, but Lily was already heading toward the guest wing. "I'm going to shower. Let me know if you need help with dinner." Sarah watched her go, a small frown creasing her forehead. Lily had been acting strange lately, distant, jumpy, always on her phone. The divorce had been hard on her, Sarah knew. Catching her ex-husband cheating with his 22-year-old assistant had shattered Lily's confidence. That's why Sarah had insisted she move in, despite Michael's protests. "We don't have room," he'd said, which was ridiculous in a 4-bedroom penthouse. "She's my best friend," Sarah had countered. She was there for me through the miscarriages. I'm going to be there for her now. Michael had eventually agreed, though he'd made it clear he wasn't happy about it. But that was 4 months ago, and lately he seemed fine with the arrangement. More than fine, actually. He'd stopped complaining about Lily's morning smoothie blender noise, or her tendency to leave yoga equipment everywhere. Sarah turned back to her phone, wrapping up the video with promises of recipe posts and gratitude journal templates. She ended the recording and immediately opened Michael's location. It was a habit she'd developed during the miscarriages when she'd needed to know he was really at the hospital cafeteria and not at a bar somewhere drowning his disappointment in scotch. The little dot showed him at the office building downtown. Of course. Where else would he be at 7:30 on Thanksgiving morning? She put the phone down and focused on cooking. The turkey was already in the oven, a 22-pound bird that would feed 3 people because Sarah Miller didn't do anything halfway. The sweet potatoes were peeled and ready. The green beans were trimmed. The pies, apple, pumpkin, and pecan, had been baked yesterday and posted to her stories with the hashtag blessed and grateful. By noon, the penthouse smelled like a magazine spread come to life. Sarah had changed into a cream-colored dress that flowed over her bump, her hair in soft waves, her makeup natural but flawless. She checked Michael's location again, still at the office. Need help? Lily appeared in the doorway, wearing jeans and a silk blouse, her hair still damp from the shower. She smelled like Sarah's favorite Jo Malone perfume, the one Michael had given her last Christmas. You're wearing wood sage, Sarah said, recognizing the scent. Lily flushed slightly. I hope you don't mind. I forgot to pack my perfume when I moved in, and I keep forgetting to buy more. Of course not, Sarah said, though something twisted in her stomach. Sharing perfume felt intimate somehow, like sharing a toothbrush or underwear. We're practically sisters. Lily's smile looked forced. Right, sisters. They worked in companionable silence, Lily chopping vegetables while Sarah basted the turkey. It should have felt comfortable. They'd cooked together 100 times in college, usually ramen or boxed mac and cheese, laughing about their dreams of someday having real kitchens and husbands who appreciated home-cooked meals. Now Sarah had both, and Lily had neither. I'm thinking of moving out, Lily said suddenly. Sarah nearly dropped the baster. What? Why? I've been here 4 months, Lily said, not looking up from the cutting board. I'm back on my feet. The divorce is almost final. I should give you and Michael your space back, especially with the baby coming. Don't be ridiculous, Sarah said. You'll stay as long as you need. Michael doesn't mind. Something flickered across Lily's face. He said that? Well, not in so many words, but he's gotten used to having you around. The other day, he even said your protein pancakes were better than mine. Lily's knife slipped, nicking her finger. She swore under her breath, bringing the finger to her mouth. Let me see, Sarah said, reaching for her hand, but Lily pulled away. It's fine, just a scratch. She turned toward the sink, running water over the cut. I should check on my followers. Posted a workout video this morning. She left the kitchen quickly, leaving Sarah staring after her. The baby kicked hard, a foot or elbow pressing against her ribs, and Sarah rubbed the spot absently. Something was wrong. She could feel it. That same instinct that had told her about the miscarriages before the bleeding started. She picked up her phone to text Michael. Everything okay? You've been gone all morning. The 3 dots appeared immediately. Sorry, baby. Meeting running long. Might be another hour. Order lunch if you're hungry. Sarah frowned. Michael never apologized for work. He usually expected her to understand that building a company required sacrifice, that her job was to support him while he changed the world with financial technology she didn't really understand. She opened his location again. Still at the office. But wait, the dot was moving. Not in the building, but away from it, toward home. Her heart lifted. He was surprising her, coming home early after all. She quickly checked her appearance in the hall mirror, touching up her lipstick. The table was set with their wedding china, the centerpiece overflowing with autumn flowers she'd arranged herself. Everything was perfect for his arrival. The baby kicked again, harder this time, and Sarah gasped slightly. Braxton Hicks' contractions had been coming more frequently lately. The doctor said it was normal, nothing to worry about, but sometimes they took her breath away. She heard the elevator ding in the hallway. Michael was home. Sarah smoothed her dress and prepared her surprise face. He'd walk in, apologize for lying about the meeting, maybe have flowers or one of those ridiculous, expensive baby outfits he'd started buying. But the footsteps went the other direction, toward the guest wing, toward Lily's room. Sarah froze, listening. Maybe she was wrong. Maybe it was Lily's grocery delivery or... A door opened and closed. Soft voices, too muffled to make out words. Then silence. Sarah stood in her pristine kitchen, surrounded by Thanksgiving in abundance, and felt the first hairline fracture in her perfect life. The smart thing would be to ignore it, to trust her husband and best friend, to go back to basting the turkey and posting grateful content. Instead, she found herself walking down the hallway, her footsteps silent on the thick carpet Michael had chosen because it photographed well. The guest wing was separated from the master suite by the living area, giving Lily privacy. Sarah had insisted on that when she moved in, wanting her friend to feel at home, not like a charity case. Now she wished the walls were thinner. She pressed her ear to Lily's door, feeling ridiculous and desperate. Nothing. Maybe she'd imagined the whole thing. Pregnancy brain was real. She'd left her keys in the refrigerator last week, had called Michael by her father's name during a particularly vivid dream. "You're being paranoid," she whispered to herself, but she didn't move. Then she heard it, a laugh. Lily's distinctive giggle, the one that had gotten them in trouble during constitutional law lectures, and underneath it lower, a man's voice. Familiar but muffled. Sarah's hand went to the doorknob before she could think. Locked. Of course it was locked. She stood there, heart pounding so hard she worried the baby could feel it. The rational part of her brain offered explanations. Lily was on the phone. She was watching a video. She had a friend over, though what friend would visit on Thanksgiving morning? Sarah? She spun around. Lily stood at the end of the hallway, fully dressed, car keys in hand. "I thought you were in your room," Sarah said, hating how accusatory she sounded. "I was. Then I realized we're out of cream for the mashed potatoes. I was going to run to the store." Lily held up her keys as evidence. "You okay? You look pale." "I thought I heard..." Sarah trailed off. Heard what? Voices in a locked room? It sounded insane even in her head. Never mind. Pregnancy brain. Lily's expression softened. "Why don't you sit down? You've been on your feet all morning. I'll finish dinner when I get back." "Michael should be here soon," Sarah said. "He texted that he's on his way." Something flickered in Lily's eyes. "That's great. I'll be quick then. Don't want to miss the grand reunion." She brushed past Sarah, leaving a trail of wood sage perfume. Sarah watched her go, then looked back at the closed door. The silence from within felt heavy, expectant. Before she could lose her nerve, Sarah went to her bedroom and grabbed the master keyring. Michael had insisted on having keys to every room. "Our house, our rules," he'd said when they'd moved in. She'd never used them before, had respected Lily's privacy absolutely, but that was before. Before the strange looks, the whispered conversations that stopped when she entered the room, the way Michael suddenly didn't mind Lily's presence after months of complaints. The key turned easily. The room was empty. Sarah stood in the doorway, taking in the unmade bed, the yoga clothes thrown over a chair, the half-packed boxes in the corner. So Lily really was planning to move out, but there was no sign of anyone else. No indication of the male voice she'd heard. She was losing her mind. The stress of the pregnancy, the pressure of maintaining her online persona, Michael's increasing absence, it was all creating phantoms where none existed. Her phone buzzed. "Michael. Traffic is insane. Going to be later than thought. Start without me." Sarah stared at the message. Start Thanksgiving dinner without him? After she'd been cooking since dawn, after she'd posted about their perfect family traditions? She pulled up his location again. He wasn't in traffic. He was at the Four Seasons Hotel, 6 blocks away. Her legs went weak. She sat down hard on Lily's bed, phone shaking in her hand. There had to be an explanation. A client meeting, a conference room rental, something. But even as she tried to rationalize, pieces were clicking into place. The late nights, the new cologne. The way he'd stopped reaching for her in bed, blaming stress and her delicate condition. The way he looked at his phone like it held secrets, angling the screen away from her. "No," she said out loud. "Not Michael. Not after everything they'd been through. Not when they were finally having the baby they dreamed of. She stood up, pacing the room. The movement disturbed something on the nightstand. Lily's phone plugged in and charging. She must have forgotten it in her rush to leave. Sarah stared at it. Lily never went anywhere without her phone. Her entire business ran through that device. Workout videos, sponsored posts, direct messages from clients. Forgetting it was like forgetting to wear pants. Unless she hadn't forgotten. Unless she'd left in such a hurry she'd grabbed her keys and nothing else. Before she could talk herself out of it, Sarah picked up the phone. The case was identical to hers. They'd bought them together at a boutique in Soho, laughing about being phone twins. She knew the passcode too, Lily's birthday, the same combination she'd used since college. The phone unlocked. Sarah's thumb hovered over the messages icon. This was wrong. This was a violation of trust, of friendship, of everything she believed about respecting privacy. But her hand moved anyway, driven by a need to know that overrode every ethical objection. The most recent thread was with M, followed by a heart emoji. Sarah's stomach dropped. She opened it. Can't stop thinking about last night. She almost caught us this morning. After the baby comes, we tell her. The phone slipped from Sarah's numb fingers, landing on the carpet with a soft thud. She stared at it like it might bite her, like the words might rearrange themselves into something less devastating if she looked hard enough. 3 months of messages. 3 months of meetings in the guest room while she slept. 3 months of planning a future that didn't include her except as an incubator for the baby they were waiting for. After the baby comes, we tell her. Sarah's hand went to her belly, protective and automatic. The baby kicked in response, strong and sure, unaware that its world was crumbling before it even arrived. She scrolled up, needing to see it all, needing to understand how she'd missed this. The messages painted a picture that made her physically ill. They met when she was at prenatal appointments. They used her miscarriage support group nights. They had sex in the bed she'd insisted on buying for Lily, the expensive mattress she'd researched for weeks because she wanted her friend to be comfortable during a difficult time. I feel guilty, Lily had written 2 weeks ago. Don't, Michael had responded. We can't help who we love. Sarah will understand eventually. She wants us both to be happy. Sarah laughed, a harsh sound that didn't belong in the perfumed air of the guest room. Understand? She was supposed to understand that her husband was fucking her best friend while she grew his child? That they were waiting for her to deliver before destroying her life completely? The phone buzzed with a new message. Michael. Where did Elle go? She left her phone. Need to coordinate story for dinner. Coordinate their story, like her life was a presentation that needed talking points. Sarah screenshotted everything. Every message, every photo, every timestamp that proved what she already knew. Her hands were steady now, lawyer-trained fingers working methodically through the evidence. She forwarded it all to her cloud storage, then to a separate email account Michael didn't know about. By the time she was done, she had 3 months of betrayal documented and backed up in triplicate. The front door opened. Sarah, I'm back! Lily's voice bright and false. Sarah looked around the room at the life her best friend had built in her home while planning to steal her husband. The yoga mat in the corner they'd bought together. The framed photo on the dresser from her wedding. Lily smiling beside her in the bridesmaid dress Sarah had let her choose. She put the phone back exactly where she'd found it and walked out, closing the door behind her. In the mirror at the end of the hall, she caught sight of herself, pale, shell-shocked, but still standing. Happy Thanksgiving, Sarah, she whispered to her reflection, and went to serve dinner to the 2 people who'd destroyed her world. Sarah Miller had played many roles in her 35 years. The scholarship student at Northwestern who smiled through rich classmates' casual cruelty. The junior attorney who laughed at partners' inappropriate jokes to keep her job. The hopeful wife who pretended the first miscarriage was just bad luck, not the beginning of a pattern that would define her marriage. But this, sitting at her Thanksgiving table with her husband and best friend, pretending she hadn't just discovered their betrayal, this might be her greatest performance yet. Everything looks incredible, Michael said, carving the turkey with practiced precision. He'd changed from his meeting clothes into the cashmere sweater she'd bought him last Christmas, the one that brought out his eyes, those eyes that had looked at her on their wedding day and promised forever. Sarah outdid herself, Lily agreed, passing the green beans. She'd reapplied her lipstick, Sarah noticed. The same shade Sarah wore, so had Michael bought it for her too, or had she simply helped herself from Sarah's vanity along with everything else? Thanks, Sarah said, her voice surprisingly steady. I wanted everything to be perfect for our first Thanksgiving as a family of four. The words hung in the air, Michael's hand stilled on the carving knife. Lily's fork paused halfway to her mouth. Four? Michael asked carefully. Sarah smiled, the influencer smile that had sold 1,000 sponsorships. Well, 3.5, technically. But Lily's family now, aren't you, Lil? Of course, Lily said, but her voice was strained. Family. They ate in relative silence, punctuated only by the clink of silverware and Sarah's occasional comments about the food. She watched them, these two people she'd trusted with everything, and cataloged the signs she'd missed. The way Michael's eyes tracked Lily's movements, how Lily unconsciously mirrored his gestures, reaching for her water when he did, touching her hair when he ran his hand through his. I should get a photo for Instagram, Sarah said, reaching for her phone. The lighting is perfect right now. Do we have to? Michael asked, the irritation he'd been hiding finally bleeding through. Can't we just eat dinner without performing for strangers? They're not strangers, Sarah said mildly. They're the people who follow our journey, who've been with us through the miscarriages, the everything. They deserve to share our joy. Our joy, Michael repeated flatly, unless you're not joyful. Sarah tilted her head, studying him. Is something wrong, honey? Lily shifted uncomfortably. Maybe we should. No, let's talk about it, Sarah interrupted. Michael, you seem stressed. The meeting didn't go well? He had the grace to look uncomfortable. It was fine, just long. Must have been intense, Sarah said, taking a small bite of turkey. What did the Four Seasons charge for the conference room on a holiday? The silence was deafening. Michael went very still, the way he did when she caught him in a lie about small things, forgotten anniversaries, broken promises, nights he'd said he was working late but came home smelling like bourbon. I don't know what you're talking about, he said finally. The Four Seasons, Sarah repeated pleasantly. Your location showed you there. I was worried when you said you were stuck in traffic, so I checked. You know, pregnancy anxiety. I worry about everything these days. Lily stood abruptly. I should check my phone. I'm expecting a call from my lawyer about the divorce. Sit down, Sarah said, and something in her voice made Lily sink back into her chair. Your phone is in your room, where you left it when you rushed out earlier. Right after Michael arrived. The words landed like bombs in the careful construction of their lies. Sarah watched them process it, watched them realize she knew. Michael's jaw tightened, Lily's face drained of color. Sarah, Michael started, using his deal-closing voice, the one that had charmed investors and board members and her once upon a time. Whatever you think you know, I know you've been fucking my best friend for 3 months, Sarah said conversationally, as if commenting on the weather. I know you meet in the guest room while I'm at prenatal appointments. I know you're planning to leave me after the baby is born, because even you aren't cruel enough to abandon a pregnant woman, but freshly postpartum is apparently fair game. Lily made a sound like a wounded animal. Sarah, please, it's not. What? Not what it looks like? Sarah laughed, the sound bright and sharp. Because it looks like my best friend of 15 years started sleeping with my husband while living in my home, eating at my table, wearing my perfume. Tell me, Lily, when you fuck him in the bed I bought for you, do you think about how I held your hair back when you cried about your ex? How I drove you to the lawyer's office? How I told you that you deserve better than a man who would cheat? Stop it, Michael said sharply. You're being hysterical. Hysterical, Sarah repeated, tasting the word. Is that what you'll tell the custody judge? That I'm hysterical, unstable, an unfit mother? His face told her everything. They'd already discussed it, planned it, probably had the paperwork ready. Her hand shook as she reached for her water glass, the only sign that she was anything other than perfectly composed. The baby kicked during the turkey carving, she said, addressing neither of them and both of them. Did you see? Or were you too busy making eyes at each other to notice? This is exactly what I'm talking about, Michael said, seizing on her emotion. These mood swings, these paranoid fantasies, Lily's just been trying to help, to be supportive, and you're turning it into something sick. Gaslighting, Sarah said, almost admiringly. Chapter 3 of the Emotional Abuse Playbook. Make her doubt her reality. Make her question what she knows to be true. Unfortunately for you, I have screenshots. The word hung between them like a blade. What screenshots? Lily whispered. Every single message. Sarah enunciated each word carefully. 3 months of I can't stop thinking about you. 3 months of she almost caught us. 3 months of planning your future girlfriend with my husband while sleeping under my roof. Michael stood, his chair scraping against the hardwood. We're not doing this. Not now, not like this. You need to calm down and think about the baby. I am thinking about the baby, Sarah said. I'm thinking about how you are going to steal her from me. Use my mental health against me. Paint me as an unfit mother while you played happy family with my replacement. You weren't supposed to find out like this, Lily said, tears streaming down her face. We were going to tell you gently, after you'd recovered from the birth. We were trying to protect you. Sarah stared at her, genuinely amazed. Protect me? You were protecting me by fucking my husband? You don't understand, Lily said desperately. It just happened. After my divorce, I was so broken, and Michael was there, and we just connected. We tried to fight it, we really did. When? Sarah asked. When did you try to fight it? During the 3 months you've been sneaking around? Or was it when you were planning to ambush me after they'd given birth? I'm curious about the timeline of your noble resistance. Michael's phone buzzed. He glanced at it, and Sarah saw his face change. What did you do? Nothing yet, Sarah said, but you should probably check your Instagram. He fumbled with his phone, and she knew the exact moment he found it. Her latest post, published 30 seconds ago, a beautiful shot of their Thanksgiving table, 3 place settings perfectly arranged. The caption read, "Grateful for truth this Thanksgiving. Sometimes the people closest to you teach you the most valuable lessons, like the importance of keeping your enemies closer." More to come. Hashtag Thanksgiving, Revelations Naquad Truth and Gratitude. The comments were already pouring in. Her followers sensed drama like sharks scenting blood in the water. Take it down, Michael demanded. No. Sarah, I'm warning you. What? She stood, matching his stance. What are you warning me about, Michael? Are you going to leave me? Cheat on me? Conspire to take my child? Oh, wait, you've already done all those things. You vindictive bitch, he snarled, the mask finally slipping completely. You think you can threaten me? I know every judge in the family court system. I'll bury you. You'll be lucky if you get supervised visitation by the time I'm done. Sarah felt the contraction hit like a lightning bolt through her core. She gripped the edge of the table, breathing through it, refusing to show weakness. Not now, not in front of them. You okay? Lily asked, reaching for her, and Sarah slapped her hand away. Don't touch me. Don't ever touch me again. Another contraction, stronger than the first. Too strong for Braxton Hicks. Too regular. Sarah's hand went to her belly, fear replacing rage for a moment. Something's wrong, she said, hating the vulnerability in her voice. You're being dramatic, Michael said, but uncertainty flickered in his eyes. A gush of fluid answered him, soaking through Sarah's cream dress and pooling on the designer rug she'd spent weeks choosing. Her water had broken. 7 months pregnant, and her water had broken. Call an ambulance, she said, sinking into her chair. Neither of them moved. Call a fucking ambulance, she screamed. And finally, Lily reached for her phone. As they waited for the paramedics, Sarah opened her Instagram and started typing. If she was going to give birth 2 months early, if her body was betraying her just like everyone else, then the world was going to witness every second of it. Happy Thanksgiving, she typed. Today I'm grateful for truth, even when it comes with contractions. Follow along as I navigate premature labor and betrayal in real time. Hashtag Thanksgiving, baby hashtag truth hurts, hash literally laboring through this. She hit publish just as the first paramedic walked through the door and her notification exploded. 50,000 people were about to watch Sarah Miller's life fall apart in real time, and she was going to make sure Michael and Lily's fell apart with it. The ambulance ride was a blur of contractions and concerned EMTs, but Sarah kept her phone clutched in her hand like a lifeline. Michael had tried to follow her into the ambulance, playing the concerned husband for the paramedics, but she looked him dead in the eye and said, "He's not my family. Don't let him near me." The EMT, a young woman with kind eyes, had simply nodded and closed the doors in his face. Now, in the labor and delivery ward of Mount Sinai, Sarah lay propped against pillows while Dr. Martinez checked her dilation. The contractions had slowed but not stopped, and the NICU team was on standby. "Mrs. Miller, you need to stay calm," Dr. Martinez said, her voice professionally soothing. "Stress isn't good for you or the baby." Sarah almost laughed. Stress? She'd just discovered her husband and best friend's 3-month affair over Thanksgiving turkey. Calm wasn't exactly on the menu. Her phone buzzed incessantly. The Thanksgiving post had gone viral. 100,000 likes and climbing, 20,000 comments, her DMs exploding with messages of support and shock. But more interesting were the text messages. Grace Mitchell, her college roommate turned divorce attorney. "Saw your post. On my way. Do not sign anything." Her mother, "Sarah Elizabeth, what is happening? Call me immediately." Tyler from next door, "Holy shit, Mrs. M. I have security footage from the last 3 months if you need it. My dad's a tech lawyer, says to document everything." But the most satisfying texts were from Michael and Lily, clearly panicking in the waiting room. "Michael, take down the posts now. You're embarrassing yourself." Lily, "Please, Sarah, can we just talk? This isn't what you think." Michael, "My lawyer says this constitutes defamation. You're making a huge mistake." Lily, "I never meant to hurt you. Please believe that." Sarah screenshotted every message, adding them to her growing collection of evidence. Then she opened Instagram Live. "Hi, everyone," she said, her voice steady despite the monitor showing another contraction building. "Sarah Miller here, coming to you live from Mount Sinai's labor and delivery ward. For those just joining, I'm 33 weeks pregnant and in premature labor after discovering my husband's affair with my best friend. Yes, the same best friend I've been featuring in my Women Supporting Women series for the last 4 months. Yeah, the viewer count climbed rapidly, 10,000, 20,000, 50,000. Comments flooded faster than she could read them. I know this isn't my usual content," Sarah continued, breathing through the building pressure in her abdomen. "Usually I'm sharing recipes and nursery designs and grateful moments. But today I'm grateful for truth, even when it hurts, even when it comes with contractions." A knock at the door interrupted her. Michael stood in the doorway, his face a mask of controlled fury. Behind him, Lily hovered like a guilty shadow. "Turn it off," he demanded. Sarah angled the phone so her viewers could see him. "Everyone, meet my husband, Michael Carter. Say hi, Michael. Tell the nice people about your emergency investor meeting at the Four Seasons. Room 1214, wasn't it?" "You're sick," Michael said, but he stayed in the doorway, aware of the camera. "You need help." "I need a lot of things," Sarah agreed. "A faithful husband, a friend who doesn't sleep with my spouse, a full-term pregnancy, but we don't always get what we need, do we?" "Sarah, please," Lily stepped forward, tears streaming down her perfect face. "The stress isn't good for the baby. Think about the baby." "Oh, now you care about my baby?" Sarah laughed high and sharp. "Were you thinking about her when you were in my guest bed with my husband, when you were planning to file for custody?" "Don't worry, everyone," she addressed the camera. "I have the screenshots where they discuss using my mental instability against me in court." The viewer count hit 100,000. Comments were coming so fast the screen was a blur of hearts, angry faces, and fire emojis. Hashtag Team Sarah was trending. Someone had already started hashtag cancel Lily Harper. "You need to stop this," Michael said, his voice low and threatening. "You have no idea what you're doing. My reputation, my company." "Your company that's hemorrhaging money?" Sarah interrupted. "The one you've been propping up with my influencer income? That company?" De Martinez appeared in the doorway. "I'm going to have to ask you both to leave," she said firmly to Michael and Lily. "Mrs. Miller needs rest." "I'm her husband, and she's asked that you not be admitted," Dr. Martinez said. "Security is on their way to escort you out." Michael's face went dark. This isn't over, he told Sarah. You think you're clever with your little camera and your followers? I'll take everything. The baby, the apartment, your precious brand, everything. Looking forward to it, Sarah said sweetly. Oh, and Michael, your mother called. She's been watching. She says she's ashamed of you and that your father would be rolling in his grave. She also said to tell you she's team me in the divorce. He stormed out, Lily trailing behind him. The moment they were gone, Sarah felt her body sag with exhaustion, but she kept the camera rolling. I want to be clear about something, she told her viewers. I'm not doing this for revenge. I'm doing this because for too long, women have been expected to handle betrayal quietly, to be dignified in our pain, to protect the people who hurt us from consequences. Well, I'm 35 years old, 7 months pregnant, and officially out of fucks to give. Another contraction hit. This one strong enough to make her gasp. The monitor showed the baby's heart rate dipping slightly, and Dr. Martinez moved quickly to adjust Sarah's position. We need to give you medication to stop the contractions, she said, and I strongly suggest you put the phone away. The stress is already here, Sarah finished. This phone is the only thing keeping me sane right now. Grace Mitchell burst through the door like an avenging angel in a power suit. Nobody talks to my client without me present, she announced. That includes medical staff trying to give advice that could be construed as evidence of mental instability. Grace, Sarah breathed. How did you get here so fast? I was at my mother's in the Upper East Side. Abandoned the pumpkin pie to race over here. Grace surveyed the situation with sharp eyes. Are you really live streaming this? 200,000 viewers and climbing, Sarah confirmed. Grace grinned. Brilliant. You've just created 200,000 witnesses to any attempt at gaslighting or coercion. Keep rolling. Over the next hour, Grace transformed the hospital room into a war room. She had Sarah officially bar Michael from any medical decisions. She arranged for security to keep him away from the NICU if the baby came early. She fielded calls from reporters who'd picked up the story and wanted statements. And through it all, Sarah kept streaming. She read supportive messages from followers. She shared the story of her miscarriages, her fear that Michael would leave if she couldn't give him a child. She talked about the pressure to be perfect online while her life crumbled offline. The irony, she told the camera, is that I built this whole brand on authenticity, real life beautifully lived. But I was hiding so much. The fights, the loneliness, the way he made me feel like I was never quite enough, smart enough for his business friends, pretty enough for his Instagram, fertile enough for his legacy. A message popped up from a verified account, Dr. Patricia Hendricks, the famous psychologist and author. Sarah, what you're experiencing is called betrayal trauma. Your body's response, going into early labor, is not uncommon. You're safe, you're believed, you're not crazy. Sarah read it aloud, tears finally coming. Thank you, she whispered. I needed to hear that. The contractions were under control now, the medication working. The baby's heart rate had stabilized, but Sarah knew this was just the beginning. I'm going to rest now, she told her viewers, but I want you all to know something. If you're watching this and you're in a relationship where you're made to feel crazy for trusting your instincts, where you're told you're too sensitive or dramatic or hormonal, trust yourself. Your body knows. Your gut knows. Don't let anyone gaslight you into doubting your own reality. She looked directly into the camera, imagining Michael and Lily watching from the waiting room. And to my husband and former best friend, lawyer up, because I'm not just keeping the screenshots. I'm keeping everything. Every receipt, every text, every piece of evidence that shows who you really are. You wanted to paint me as an unfit mother? Let's see how that plays out when the world is watching. She ended the stream to a flood of hearts and supportive messages. Grace squeezed her hand. Get some rest, her friend said. Tomorrow we go to war. Sarah closed her eyes, one hand on her belly, where her daughter fought to stay safe and saw to her for a little while longer. She'd lost her husband and her best friend in the space of an afternoon, but she'd found something else, her voice, and she was going to use it to burn their world to the ground. Sarah woke to pale November sunlight and the sound of Grace Mitchell typing furiously on her laptop. Her friend had stayed all night, standing a guard like a designer-suited sentinel. The contractions had stopped, the baby was stable, and Sarah had managed 4 hours of medicated sleep. "Morning, warrior," Grace said without looking up. "You're trending worldwide. The Today Show wants an interview. Ellen's people called, and Michael's investors are jumping ship faster than rats on the Titanic." Sarah struggled to sit up, her body aching. "How do you know about the investors?" Grace turned the laptop screen toward her. "Your little live stream had consequences. Turns out nobody wants to fund a company run by a guy who gaslit his pregnant wife on Thanksgiving." Cashflow's main investor pulled out this morning. Stock futures are predicting a 60% drop when markets open Monday. Sarah felt a complicated mix of satisfaction and guilt. She'd built that company alongside Michael, had supported him through the endless nights and failed pitches. But then she remembered the messages. "After the baby comes, we tell her." "Good," she said firmly. "What else?" "Lily Harper is having her own problems," Grace continued. "Lost 40,000 followers overnight. Her fitness brand sponsors are reassessing their partnerships. Lululemon dropped her an hour ago." Sarah's phone, charging on the bedside table, lit up with notifications. She reached for it, then hesitated. "How bad is it?" "The internet remains undefeated when it comes to detective work," Grace said. "Someone found photos of Lily wearing your jewelry at fitness events 3 weeks ago. Another person matched the timestamps of her posts with Michael's location data you shared. They've basically reconstructed the entire affair." Sarah picked up the phone, scrolling through the chaos. Her follower count had exploded to 2 million. The comments were overwhelming. Thousands of women sharing their own stories of betrayal, offering support, calling her a queen. But there were other messages too, from Michael's lawyers, from Lily's attorney, cease and desist orders, threats of defamation suits, demands to remove all posts. "They can threaten all they want," Grace said, reading over her shoulder. "Truth is an absolute defense against defamation, and you've got the receipts." A knock interrupted them. Tyler Brooks peered around the door, looking uncomfortable in the hospital setting, but determined. "Mrs. Miller, sorry to bother you. My dad said I should bring these directly to your lawyer." He handed Grace a flash drive. 3 months of security footage from our door cam. It covers your door too. Shows everyone coming and going. "Tyler, you beautiful Gen Z genius," Grace said, taking the drive. "Please tell me you have backups." "In 3 different cloud services and a physical drive in my dad's safe," Tyler confirmed. "I also took the liberty of creating a spreadsheet. Green highlights are when Mr. Carter left for work. Red is when he came back. Yellow is when he went to the guest house area." Sarah stared at the printed spreadsheet he produced. The pattern was damning. Every time she'd had a doctor's appointment, a miscarriage support group meeting, even her baby shower planning sessions. Red and yellow marks. Michael had been with Lily. "There's more," Tyler said, clearly uncomfortable. "October 15th, you were at your overnight glucose test. Mr. Carter and Miss Harper, they were on your balcony. Together, the footage is conclusive." Sarah's stomach turned. October 15th. She'd been terrified about gestational diabetes, had spent the night at the hospital drinking glucose solution and getting blood drawn every hour. She'd texted Michael updates, told him she loved him, wished he could be there. He'd been on their balcony with Lily. Their balcony, where they had their wedding reception, where they were to plan to put the baby's playpen so she could get fresh air. "Thank you, Tyler," Sarah managed. "This is incredibly helpful." "No problem," Tyler said. "Oh, and my girlfriend wanted me to tell you she started a TikTok called Catching Cheaters. You're already the patron saint. She's got like 500,000 followers just reposting your story with commentary." After he left, Sarah and Grace sat in silence for a moment. "You okay?" Grace asked. "I don't know," Sarah admitted. "I feel like I should be devastated, crying, falling apart. Instead, I just feel clear. Like I've been seeing the world through fog and suddenly it's lifted." "That's shock," Grace said gently. "The devastation will come, but right now we use this clarity. I've drafted a separation agreement. Want to hear your options?" Before Sarah could answer, her phone rang. The caller ID showed her mother-in-law's face. Marie Carter, Michael's terrifying Southern mother, who'd never quite approved of Sarah's middle-class background. Sarah answered on speaker. Marie. Sarah, honey. The older woman's voice was steel-wrapped in magnolia blossoms. I've been watching your little videos. Very informative. Marie, let me speak, dear. I buried my husband 5 years ago. He was a good man, built his company from nothing, taught Michael everything about business. But he also taught him something else, that men like them could do whatever they wanted as long as the money kept flowing. Sarah held her breath. I tolerated it, Marie continued. The affairs, the laces, the humiliation. I smiled at charity galas and pretended not to know why his secretary had a new car. I thought I was being strong. I was being a fool. Marie, I'm not finished. I'm 70 years old, Sarah. I've got more money than God and no patience left for bullshit. I watched my son become his father, and I said nothing. But you stood up. You said no more, and you did it while 7 months pregnant, which takes bigger balls than any Carter man has ever had. Grace muffled a laugh. Sarah was speechless. Now, Marie said briskly, I've already called my lawyers. Michael's trust fund, the one from his father. It has a morality clause. Adultery voids it. That's $30 million he just lost. The apartment you're living in, that's in my name technically. I'm evicting him. You and the baby can stay as long as you like. Marie, I don't know what to say. Say you'll raise that baby to be better than the men in this family, Marie said. And Sarah, next time you go live, give an old woman some warning. I nearly dropped my phone in the cranberry sauce. She hung up, leaving Sarah staring at the phone. I think I'm in love with your mother-in-law, Grace said. Also, did she just say $30 million? Sarah's phone buzzed with a new message. Unknown number. She almost deleted it, then noticed it was a voice message. She played it on speaker. Lily's voice filled the room, slurred and crying. You ruined everything. You couldn't just be grateful for what you had, could you? Perfect Sarah with her perfect life. You have no idea what it's like to lose everything. To watch your husband cheat and take everything in the divorce because he had better lawyers. To move in with your best friend and watch her have everything you lost. There was a pause, the sound of liquid being poured. I didn't mean to fall for him, Lily continued, but he was kind to me. He said I was beautiful, that I deserved better than living in someone's guest room. He made me feel special again. And yes, we planned to be together. Yes, we were waiting for the baby, but we weren't going to take her from you. We just wanted to be happy too. Another pause. But you couldn't let that happen, could you? You had to destroy it all. Well, congratulations, Sarah. You won. I have nothing. Again, I hope you're happy. The message ended. Save that, Grace said immediately. That's admission of the affair and the planning. It's gold for custody hearings. But Sarah wasn't thinking about legal strategy. She was thinking about Lily, drunk and alone somewhere, feeling like she had nothing. Despite everything, despite the betrayal that should have killed any sympathy, Sarah felt a flicker of something. Not forgiveness, not even understanding, but maybe pity. She's right about one thing, Sarah said quietly. I did have everything she'd lost. But instead of being happy for me or working to rebuild her own life, she decided to take mine. Exactly, Grace said, and that's a choice she made every day for 3 months. Sarah's phone lit up with another notification. Her Instagram had a new tag from someone she didn't recognize. She opened it and gasped. It was a photo of Michael and Lily at JFK Airport, posted 5 minutes ago by someone who'd recognized them from the viral videos. They had luggage. They were at the international terminal. The caption read, spotted the cheating husband and homewrecker best friend looking cozy at JFK, running away together. Had Team Sarah and Howard caught in the act. Oh, they're running, Grace said with satisfaction. That's consciousness of guilt. No innocent person flees the country the day after being exposed. Sarah stared at the photo. Michael had his hand on Lily's back, guiding her through the terminal. The same way he used to guide Sarah at events, protective and possessive. They already looked like a couple. Let them run, Sarah said finally, but screenshot everything. If he's leaving the country, he's probably moving money too. Already on it, Grace said. I've got a forensic accountant ready to trace every penny, He's not getting away with hiding assets. Sarah leaned back against the pillows, exhausted but determined. In 24 hours, she'd lost her marriage, her best friend, and nearly lost her baby. But she gained something too, an army of supporters, a legal pit bull in designer heels, in the sympathy of the one woman Michael feared, his own mother. The war wasn't over. It was just beginning. By Monday morning, Michael Carter's carefully constructed world had collapsed like a house of cards in a hurricane. Sarah watched it happen from her hospital bed, Grace by her side with a constantly updating laptop and a stream of coffee. Forbes just picked up the story, Grace announced. From fintech fortune to Thanksgiving failure. The viral downfall of Cashflow CEO. They're calling it the most spectacular social media self-destruction of the year. Sarah shifted uncomfortably, her body still aching from the stopped labor. Dr. Martinez had agreed to release her tomorrow if all remained stable. But for now, she was stuck watching the chaos unfold from her phone screen. He's back, Grace said suddenly, looking at the flight and trackers. Landed at JFK an hour ago. Guess wherever they were running didn't want them. Sarah's phone rang. Michael's photo filled the screen, a professional headshot from happier times. She declined the call. It immediately rang again. Answer it, Grace advised. On speaker. I'm recording. Sarah swiped to accept. What do you want, Michael? Sarah. His voice was ragged, desperate. We need to talk. Please, not through lawyers, not through Instagram, just us. There is no us, Sarah said calmly. You made sure of that when you chose my best friend. It wasn't like that. 3 months, Sarah interrupted. You planned and schemed and fucked her for 3 months while I grew your child, while I supported your failing company, while I posted about how grateful I was for my husband. The company isn't failing. Really? Grace leaned toward the phone. This is Grace Mitchell, Sarah's attorney. Would you like to discuss the forensic accounting report I received this morning? The one showing you've been using Sarah's influencer income to prop up cash flow? Or should we talk about the credit cards you opened in her name? Silence, and then, I want to see my daughter. The daughter you were planning to steal? Sarah asked. I have the messages, Michael. How you and Lily were going to claim I was mentally unstable. How you already had a lawyer ready to file for emergency custody. I was emotional. I didn't mean... You retained Kirkland Family Law 3 weeks ago, Grace interrupted. We have the receipts. You paid a $5,000 retainer from the joint account. That's marital asset fraud, by the way. Lily manipulated me, Michael said desperately. She was jealous of you, of our life. She got in my head, made me think things about you that weren't true. I see that now. Sarah, please, I love you. We can work this out. Sarah actually laughed. Did you rehearse this? Was Lily there when you practiced throwing her under the bus? She left me, Michael admitted, his voice breaking. At the airport. Said she couldn't do this. That seeing your posts made her realize what we'd done. She took a flight to Ohio, left me standing at the gate. So you're not calling because you love me, Sarah said slowly. You're calling because your backup plan abandoned you. That's not goodbye, Michael. She hung up. The phone immediately lit up with texts. Please answer. Now we have 13 years together. Don't throw it all away. I made a mistake. She meant nothing. You're my wife. The baby needs her father. Grace screenshotted each message. He's panicking. Good. Panicked people make mistakes. As if to prove her point, Sarah's Instagram notifications exploded. Michael had gone live on his own account, something he'd never done before, always claiming social media was Sarah's thing. They watched in fascination as Michael sat in what looked like his car, hair disheveled, designer shirt wrinkled. I need to address the rumors, he began, trying for his boardroom voice but achieving something closer to desperate. My wife has been struggling with mental health issues throughout her pregnancy. What you've seen on her account is a manic episode brought on by pregnancy hormones and stress. Oh my God, Grace breathed. He's actually doing it. He's trying to gaslight you to 2 million people. As many of you know, Michael continued, Sarah has suffered multiple miscarriages. The trauma, combined with the pressure she puts on herself to maintain a perfect online presence, has led to paranoid delusions. Lily Harper was trying to help, to support her friend through a difficult time, and Sarah has twisted that into something ugly. The comments were immediate and brutal. Bro, we saw the screenshots. Gaslighting on Maine? Bold choice. Well, this man really said she's crazy to the entire internet. Team Sarah forever. Somebody call his mama. Michael pressed on, seemingly oblivious to the reaction. I'm asking for privacy as we work through this as a family. And Sarah, if you're watching, please come home. We love you. I love you. He ended the stream. Within minutes, his follower count began plummeting. Sarah's phone rang. Marie Carter. Did that fool just try to gaslight my daughter-in-law on the internet? Marie's voice was arctic. Sarah, honey, I'm about to make some calls. By tomorrow morning, that boy won't be able to get a loan for a hot dog cart, much less salvage his company. Marie, you don't have to. Oh, but I do. I've been covering for Carter men my whole life. It stops now. You keep that baby safe. I'll handle my son. She hung up. Sarah and Grace sat in stunned silence. Your mother-in-law is terrifying, Grace said admiringly. Also, Michael just gave us a gift. He admitted to the mental health angle on live stream. No judge will believe it now that he's shown his strategy publicly. Tyler appeared in the doorway. Mrs. M, sorry to interrupt, but you need to see this. He held up his phone, showing Lily's Instagram. She'd posted a video, clearly drunk, mascara streaming down her face. I need to tell my truth, Lily slurred. Yes, I had an affair with my best friend's husband. Yes, it was wrong. But you don't understand what it's like to lose everything in a divorce and watch your best friend have it all. The perfect husband, the perfect home, the perfect pregnancy. She took a swig from a wine bottle. Michael told me Sarah was cold, that she only cared about her image. He said I understood him in a way she never did. He made me feel special when I felt worthless. And I was weak enough to believe him. The video cut off. Another one started immediately. You want to know the truth about Michael Carter? Lily continued. He came to Maine the first night when Sarah was at her support group. He brought wine to the guest house. Said I looked beautiful. Said his marriage was over, but he was staying for the baby. Sarah's hands clenched into fists. Every support group meeting, she'd come home emotionally drained from hearing other women's loss stories. Had crawled into bed believing Michael was working late, grateful he was sacrificing for their future. He planned everything, Lily said. The custody filing, the mental health angle, all of it. Said Sarah's miscarriages had made her unstable, that no judge would give her the baby. Said we'd raise the child together, give her a better life. She laughed bitterly. I believed him. I'm 33 and divorced, and I believed a man who was cheating on his pregnant wife would somehow be faithful to me. How's that for karma? The video ended with Lily passing out on what looked like a hotel bed. She just confessed to everything, Grace said in amazement. On Instagram, while drunk. This is better than Christmas. But Sarah felt no satisfaction watching Lily's destruction. She looked broken, hollow, used up and discarded just like Sarah had been. Michael had played them both, had exploited Lily's vulnerability just as he'd exploited Sarah's trust. Her phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. She almost ignored it, then saw the preview. This is Lily's mom. Sarah opened it fully. Sarah, this is Patricia Harper. I just saw the videos. I'm flying in from Ohio to get Lily. I am so deeply sorry for what she did to you. You didn't deserve this. Neither of you deserved what that man did. I'm praying for you and the baby. Sarah stared at the message, something shifting in her chest. Mrs. Harper had been like a second mother in college, had sent care packages during finals, had been at Sarah's wedding. The betrayal suddenly felt fresh again. Not just Lily's, but the loss of that whole relationship, that extended family. She typed back, "Thank you. Please make sure Lily gets help. Despite everything, I don't want her to hurt herself." The response was immediate. "You're a better woman than most. Take care of yourself and that baby." Grace was pulling up more footage on her laptop. Local news picked it up. Thanksgiving scandal goes viral. Manhattan love triangle exposes dark side of influencer culture. They're interviewing relationship experts about digital age betrayal. Turn it off, Sarah said suddenly. All of it. I need, I need to not look at screens for a while. Grace closed the laptop immediately. Of course, you want me to go? No, stay. Just talk to me about something else, anything else. So Grace talked about her own Thanksgiving disaster, her mother trying to set her up with a podiatrist, her sister announcing her fourth pregnancy, her father falling asleep in the mashed potatoes after too much wine. Normal problems, small problems, problems that didn't involve betrayal and custody battles and viral humiliation. Sarah closed her eyes and listened, one hand on her belly where her daughter rolled and kicked, blissfully unaware of the chaos she'd be born into. Outside her window, Manhattan glittered in the November darkness. A million lights in a million windows, a million lives playing out. Somewhere in that maze of lights, Michael was probably strategizing his next move. Lily was drinking herself into oblivion. Marie was making phone calls that would destroy what was left of her son's reputation. But here, in this hospital room, Sarah held on to the only thing that mattered. The baby still safe in her, the friend standing guard beside her, and the knowledge that tomorrow she'd be strong enough to face whatever came next. The war wasn't over, but for tonight, she could rest. Tuesday morning arrived with winter sunshine and a team of lawyers. Sarah, finally released from the hospital, sat in Grace's conference room overlooking Central Park. The mahogany table was covered with documents, tablets, printed screenshots, and enough legal firepower to destroy a small country, or one narcissistic tech CEO. Let's review where we stand, Grace said, addressing her team of 3 associates. Michael filed for divorce yesterday, citing irreconcilable differences and seeking joint custody. Joint? Sarah laughed bitterly. 3 days ago, he was planning to claim I was mentally unfit. Now he wants joint custody? His position has become untenable, said James Thompson, the forensic accountant. We've traced 63 unauthorized transfers from your joint accounts to cash flow. He's been using marital assets to pay company debts. That's fraud. Additionally, ma'am, added Rebecca Martinez, the family law specialist, his mother has been very helpful. Marie Carter provided documentation showing the apartment is held in trust, not Michael's name. He has no claim to it. She also froze his access to family money pending the outcome of the morality clause investigation. Sarah felt a grim satisfaction. What about Lily? Is she back? Lily Harper returned to New York this morning, Grace confirmed. Her mother brought her. They've checked into the Carlisle. But here's the interesting part. She's hired her own attorney, Margaret Davis, best defense lawyer in the city. Defense lawyer? Sarah frowned. Not divorce? Think about it, Grace said. You could sue her for alienation of affection, emotional distress, depending on what we find, possibly even conspiracy, if she was actively involved in the custody planning. Sarah's phone, face down on the table, buzzed insistently. She'd promised herself she wouldn't look during the meeting, but the buzzing didn't stop. Check it, Grace advised. Could be relevant. It was Tyler, their 19-year-old neighbor turned digital detective. Urgent. Check Michael's LinkedIn now. Sarah pulled up the site on the conference room screen. Michael's normally polished profile had a new post. After careful consideration, I've decided to step down as CEO of Cashflow to focus on my family during this difficult time. My priority is my daughter's well-being and rebuilding trust with my wife. I ask for privacy as we navigate this personal matter. Effective immediately, CFO David Anderson will serve as interim CEO. I remain committed to Cashflow's mission and will continue as a board advisor. To my wife, Sarah, I love you. Please come home. The comments were already flooding in, some supportive from business contacts who didn't know the full story. Others, less so. This you? Someone had posted the screenshots of his messages with Lily. Focusing on family? Which one? Another added a photo from the airport. Maybe step down from marriage too? A verified investor account suggested. He's trying to control the narrative, Rebecca observed, making it look like his choice, like he's being noble. Sarah's phone rang. Marie Carter. Put me on speaker, dear, Marie commanded. Sarah complied. Good morning, Mrs. Carter, Grace said smoothly. Thank you for your assistance with the apartment documentation. Happy to help, Marie said briskly. Now, I've just gotten off the phone with David Anderson. Lovely man, he's been wanting Michael out for months. Seems my son's leadership style involves spending investor money on personal expenses. David's already found another 12 instances of misused funds. James, the accountant, practically salivated. Mrs. Carter, would David be willing to provide documentation? Already done, honey. Check your email. Oh, and Sarah? I've had the locks changed on the apartment. Michael tried to get in this morning. Security has a lovely video of him throwing a tantrum in the lobby. Very undignified. Marie, Sarah said carefully, why are you helping me? He's your son. There was a pause. Because I failed him, Marie said finally. I let his father teach him that women were accessories, that marriage was a business arrangement, that children were legacy projects. I stayed quiet when I should have spoken up. This is my penance. Raise my granddaughter to be better. She hung up, leaving the room in silence. Your mother-in-law is, Rebecca searched for words. A force of nature, Grace supplied. Now let's talk about your statement. The press wants an interview. The Today Show offered a full segment. Oprah's people called. No, Sarah was firm. No interviews, not yet, maybe not ever. I won't monetize my daughter's trauma before she's even born. Smart, Grace agreed. But we need to respond to Michael's LinkedIn post. Show strength without looking vindictive. Sarah thought for a moment, then picked up her phone. She typed carefully, aware that every word would be scrutinized. I see my husband has stepped down from his position. I hope this gives him time to reflect on his choices. My focus remains on my health and our daughter's safe delivery. To those asking, I am not reconciling with someone who planned to gaslight me into losing custody of my child. The screenshots speak for themselves. Thank you to everyone for your support. Special thanks to @MarieCarterOfficial for showing that family means protecting victims, not enabling abusers. Our truth matters, and they are thankful for clarity. She posted it to Instagram, watching the likes climb immediately. 50,000, 100,000. The comments were overwhelming. Queen behavior, the MIL tag. Marie said that's my daughter. He really thought he could CEO his way out of this. Not the our daughter when he was planning to steal her. A new notification popped up. Lily had posted again. Against her better judgment, Sarah clicked. It was a photo of a legal document. I've been served, Lily's caption read. Sarah Miller is suing me for alienation of affection and emotional distress. I deserve it, but I want everyone to know I'm not fighting this. What I did was wrong. I betrayed the one person who truly loved me for a man who used us both. Michael Carter pursued me when I was vulnerable. He convinced me Sarah was cold, calculating, that their marriage was over. He lied. She loved him completely, and I helped destroy that. I'll be making a full statement through my attorney, but I wanted to say this publicly. Sarah, I'm sorry. It's not enough. It will never be enough, but I'm sorry. The comments were split, some calling for forgiveness, others saying it was too little too late. That's unexpected, Grace said slowly. She's essentially admitting liability. Margaret Davis must be having a heart attack. Sarah felt that complicated twist of emotions again. Anger at the betrayal, pity for how thoroughly Michael had played them both, and underneath it all, a grief for the friendship that had died. Can we depose her, Sarah asked suddenly, get her full testimony about Michael's plans? Grace's smile turned shark-like. Oh, absolutely. If she's cooperating, we can use her testimony to bury him in the custody hearing. Another notification, this time from a number Sarah didn't recognize. She opened it to find a voice message from David Anderson, the new interim CEO of Cashflow. Mrs. Miller, I apologize for reaching out directly, but I felt you should know we've found evidence that Michael was planning to transfer company assets offshore. The board has voted to pursue criminal charges for embezzlement. Your financial disclosures helped us uncover the full extent of the fraud. Cashflow owes you a debt of gratitude. Also, we'd like to offer you a position on our advisory board if you're interested. Your business acumen is clearly superior to your husband's. Sarah played the message for the room. James, the accountant, actually applauded. Criminal charges change everything, Rebecca said excitedly. No judge gives custody to someone facing embezzlement charges. We need to be careful, Grace warned. Cornered animals are dangerous. Michael's lost his company, his reputation, his family's money, and now he's facing jail time. He's going to get desperate. As if summoned by her words, Sarah's phone rang. Michael. She declined. It rang again immediately. Answer, Grace advised. Recording. What? Sarah said curtly. You vindictive bitch. Michael's voice was slurred, ugly. You couldn't just leave it alone, could you? Had to destroy everything. Are you drunk? My life is over because you couldn't handle a little competition. So I found comfort elsewhere. So what? You think you're so perfect with your Instagram life and your baby content? You committed fraud, Michael. That's not my fault. Everything I did was for us, for our family. That company was going to make us rich. You stole my money to prop up your failing business. You planned to steal my child. You fucked my best friend. Which part of that was for us? She understood me, Michael snarled. She didn't nag about doctor's appointments and ovulation schedules and miscarriage support groups. She made me feel like a man, not a sperm donor. The words hit like physical blows. Sarah's hand went to her belly instinctively. Say whatever you need to say, she managed on. It's all being recorded. I don't care. He was fully raging now. Record this. I'm glad I fucked her. I'm glad you know. I'm glad I don't have to pretend anymore that your miracle baby means anything to me. You want her? Take her. I never wanted kids anyway. That was all you, Sarah. Your obsession, your desperation, your failure. When you couldn't even carry them to term, Grace grabbed the phone. Mr. Carter, this is Grace Mitchell. You've just confessed to fraud and expressed disinterest in custody. This call is being recorded and will be submitted to the court. I suggest you contact your attorney. She hung up. Sarah sat very still, processing the cruelty of his words. 3 miscarriages. 3 times she'd blamed herself, wondered what she'd done wrong, while he'd held her and said it wasn't her fault. You okay? Grace asked gently. He never wanted her, Sarah said wonderingly. All this time, I thought, but he never wanted any of them. The babies we lost. This one, he was just playing a part. I'm so sorry, Rebecca said softly. But Sarah wasn't sad. She was furious. Clean, pure fury that burned away the last of her hesitation. I want full custody, she said. I want the apartment. I want him to pay support from whatever money he has left after the criminal charges. I want it all. You'll get it, Grace promised. After that phone call, he just gave us everything. Sarah stood, steadying herself. I need to go home. My actual home, not the museum I've been living in. I need to nest, to prepare for my daughter without looking over my shoulder. Marie's expecting you, Grace confirmed. She's had a nursery designer on standby. Sarah laughed, surprising herself. Of course she has. As they gathered the documents, Rebecca asked quietly, What about Lily? Do you want to proceed with the lawsuit? Sarah thought of her former friend, broken and drunk in a hotel room, used and discarded just like she'd been. Set up a meeting, she decided. Not lawyers, just us. I want to hear her whole truth, then I'll decide. Grace raised an eyebrow but nodded. You're a better person than I would be. No, Sarah corrected. I'm just tired of men playing women against each other. Michael's the villain here. Let's not forget that. As they left the conference room, Sarah's phone showed one final notification. A DM from a verified account she recognized. A major publishing house. Ms. Miller, we've been following your story. Would you be interested in discussing a book deal? We see this as more than a personal narrative. It's a manifesto for the social media age. A guide for women navigating betrayal in public spaces. 7 figures, full creative control. Please consider it. Sarah screenshot it to Grace, who whistled. 7 figures? Blood money, Sarah said, but she saved the message anyway. Maybe when the dust settled, when her daughter was safely in her arms, she'd tell this story properly. Not for revenge or profit, but for all the women watching, wondering if they too could survive their worst day. For now, she had a nursery to design and a new life to build, one without Michael Carter anywhere in it. The Carlisle Hotel bar was nearly empty at 3 in the afternoon, which is exactly why Sarah had chosen it. She arrived 10 minutes early, partly to choose the right seat and partly to gather her courage. She hadn't seen Lily since Thanksgiving dinner. Was it really only 5 days ago? It felt like a lifetime. Sarah ordered sparkling water with lime and chose a corner booth with a view of the entrance. She wore a simple black dress that accommodated her bump and minimal makeup. No armor today, just truth. Lily arrived exactly on time, looking like a ghost of her former self. The fitness influencer who'd preached green smoothies and sunrise yoga was pale, thin, with dark circles under puffy eyes. She tried to hide it with concealer, but Sarah knew her too well. They stared at each other across 15 years of friendship. "Hi," Lily said finally. "Hi." Lily slid into the booth, ordered hot tea with shaking hands. The silence stretched between them like a chasm. "You look terrible," Sarah said finally. Lily laughed, a broken sound. "You look beautiful. Pregnancy suits you. It always did." "Don't," Sarah warned. "We're not doing that. We're not pretending this is normal." "Right." Lily wrapped her hands around her tea. "Where do I even start?" "The beginning. When did it actually start?" Lily stared into her cup. "The night of October 3rd. You were at support group. I was in the kitchen, stress-eating cookie dough and crying about the divorce. Michael came home early. He said you'd texted that group was running late." Sarah remembered that night. She'd stayed after to talk with a woman who had lost twins at 8 months, had held her while she sobbed, then sat in her car crying for her own losses. "He brought wine," Lily continued, "said I looked like I needed it. We sat on the couch and he asked about the divorce. Really asked, not just polite questions. He said he understood feeling trapped in a marriage." "Trapped," Sarah repeated flatly. "I know how it sounds, but that night I was so raw, so desperate to feel like I wasn't a complete failure. And he was attentive. He said I was brave for leaving a bad situation. Said you could never understand because you'd never failed at anything." Sarah's hands clenched under the table. "I had 3 miscarriages. He said those were his failures, not yours. That you blamed him for not being able to give you a child." Lily looked up, tears streaming. "I'm not excusing it. I need you to know how he twisted everything. How he made me feel like I was helping him, like we understood each other. And the first time you slept with him?" Lily flinched. "October 15th. You were at the overnight glucose test. He came to the guest house with champagne. Said he'd gotten funding for the company, wanted to celebrate with someone who understood the struggle. I was drunk on attention before I even opened the bottle. The night Sarah had spent terrified she'd have gestational diabetes, adding another complication to an already high-risk pregnancy. I told myself it was just once," Lily continued, "just a mistake. But then he kept coming back. Said his marriage had been over since the last miscarriage, that you only wanted him for the baby, that once you had what you wanted, you'd leave him anyway. And you believed him?" "I wanted to believe him," Lily corrected, "because if he was telling the truth, then I wasn't a homewrecker. I was just finding love in a complicated situation." Sarah sipped her water, trying to process. "When did you start planning the custody thing?" Lily's face crumpled. "November 1st. He showed me texts where you sounded, I don't know, stressed, overwhelmed. He said he was worried about your mental state, that maybe you weren't ready for motherhood. I told him he was overreacting, but he kept pushing, said he needed someone stable in his daughter's life, someone like me. And you agreed to help him take my baby." "No," Lily said forcefully. "I mean, not at first. I told him he was being ridiculous. But then he showed me these articles about postpartum psychosis, about women who hurt their babies. He made me think I'd be protecting your daughter from you." Sarah felt sick. "You've known me for 15 years. Did you really think I'd hurt my child?" "I wasn't thinking clearly. I was in love, or thought I was. He was so convincing, Sarah. He'd twist everything. Like when you posted about being tired, he'd say you were showing signs of depression. When you were happy, he'd call it mania. Everything became evidence of instability." "What about the messages? After the baby comes, we tell her. That doesn't sound like concern for my mental health." Lily closed her eyes. "By then I was in too deep. He'd convinced me we were meant to be together. That waiting was the honorable thing to do, that you'd be happier without the burden of a child you couldn't handle." "The burden," Sarah said quietly. My miracle baby was a burden. His words, not mine. I swear, Sarah, I love seeing you pregnant. Every post, every update, I was genuinely happy for you, but then he'd get in my head and suddenly your joy looked like obsession, your preparation like anxiety. Sarah studied her former friend. Do you know why he really wanted to leave? He said he didn't love you anymore, that the miscarriages had broken something between you. Try again. The real reason. Lily shook her head. I don't... Money, Sarah laughed bitterly. He was stealing from our accounts to fund his company. The forensic accountant found everything. He needed me out of the picture before I noticed. And you were convenient. Lonely, vulnerable, already in our home. The perfect patsy. Lily went white. What? He's facing criminal charges. Embezzlement, fraud. His company fired him, his mother cut him off. That call from the airport? When he begged me to take him back, he'd already thrown you under the bus, said you manipulated him. Oh my God. Lily covered her face. Oh my God. He played us both, Sarah said simply. Used your vulnerability against you. Used my trust against me. And we let him. They sat in silence for a moment, the weight of manipulation settling between them. What happens now? Lily asked finally. I don't know, Sarah admitted. Grace wants me to sue you, take everything you have left. And part of me wants to. Part of me wants you to hurt like I'm hurting. I understand. But another part, Sarah struggled for words. We gave him all the power. We let him pit us against each other. And I'm tired of it. Tired of women being turned into weapons against each other by men who see us as disposable. What are you saying? I'm saying testify. Tell the court everything. Help me bury him so deep he never does this to another woman. And then we both walk away and rebuild. Lily was crying harder now. You could forgive me? No, Sarah said honestly. Not forgive, not forget. We'll never be friends again. But I can choose not to destroy you. I can choose to aim my anger where it belongs, at the man who orchestrated all of this. I'll testify, Lily said immediately. I'll tell them everything. I have emails, texts, recordings I made when things got weird. I'll give it all to your lawyer. Why were you recording? Lily laughed bitterly. My divorce lawyer's advice. Document everything with men who seem too good to be true. Guess I should have taken my own advice sooner. Sarah's phone buzzed. Grace. How's it going? Security on standby if you need them. She typed back. We're fine, getting the whole truth. When she looked up, Lily was staring at her belly. Can I ask, is she okay after Thanksgiving? She's strong, Sarah said, hand going protectively to her bump. Stronger than any of us. I'm glad. I know I have no right to care, but I'm glad. They talked for another hour, filling in gaps, understanding the full scope of Michael's manipulation. How he'd used Lily's divorce trauma, how he'd twisted Sarah's fertility struggles, how he'd played them like chess pieces. As they prepared to leave, Lily asked, what would have happened if you hadn't found those texts? If everything had gone according to his plan? Sarah considered it. I think I would have fought for my daughter. And I think you would have realized eventually what he was. And then we'd both be his victims instead of each other's. I'm still your victim, Lily said quietly. I did this. Whatever he said, whatever he promised. I made the choice. Every day for 3 months, I chose to betray you. Yes, Sarah agreed, you did, and that's something you'll have to live with. They stood awkwardly at the hotel entrance. 15 years of friendship reduced to a careful distance. I really did love you, Lily said finally. You were the sister I never had, and I destroyed that for a man who was using me. I'll regret that for the rest of my life. Sarah nodded, not trusting herself to speak. She walked away without looking back, but she heard Lily's broken sob behind her. In the Uber home, Sarah cried for the first time since Thanksgiving. Not for Michael, that betrayal had sharp edges, but no depth. But for Lily, for the friendship that had died, for the women they'd been before a man's lies had torn them apart. Her phone rang. Et. How did it go? She'll testify. She has evidence. We'll destroy him. Are you okay? Sarah watched Manhattan blur past through tear-filled eyes. No, but I will be. Want company? I can bring ice cream, or pickles, or both. Both, Sarah decided. And Grace, thank you for being the friend who stayed. Always, warrior, always. As the car pulled up to her building now, not Michael's, Sarah felt the baby kick strongly, a reminder that she wasn't alone, that from the ashes of her old life, a new one was already growing. She'd lost a husband and a best friend, but she'd found her voice, her strength, and a truth that no one could gaslight away. She was enough. She'd always been enough, and soon she'd be enough for two. 6 weeks later, Sarah stood in a Manhattan courtroom, her hand resting on her 8.5-month bump. The baby, her daughter, had stayed put after that terrifying Thanksgiving night, growing stronger as Sarah's new life took shape around them both. Michael sat at the defendant's table, a shadow of his former self. The Golden Boy CEO was gone, replaced by a man in an ill-fitting suit who'd had to rely on a public defender after exhausting his resources on failed legal maneuvers. His mother had been true to her word. Not a penny of family money had gone to his defense. All rise for Judge Patricia Williams. The custody hearing had been expedited due to Sarah's advancing pregnancy. Grace stood beside her, impeccable in navy blue, radiating confidence. Your Honor, Grace began, we're prepared to present evidence that Mr. Carter not only committed adultery and emotional abuse, but actively conspired to defraud my client and steal custody of their unborn child through false allegations of mental instability. What followed was a systematic destruction of Michael Carter. Lily took the stand first, dressed simply, speaking clearly. She detailed every manipulation, every lie, every moment of Michael's calculated campaign. She'd brought receipts, literally, text messages where he'd coached her on what to say, emails outlining the custody strategy, voice recordings of him describing Sarah as unstable and obsessed, while Sarah had been at prenatal appointments. He said she only wanted a baby, not a family, Lily testified. He said once she had the child, she'd discard him, but that was him projecting. He was the one who only wanted the appearance of family for his company image. Michael's lawyer tried to discredit her. Ms. Harper, isn't it true you're testifying against Mr. Carter because he rejected you? Lily met his gaze steadily. He didn't reject me. He used me as a weapon against my best friend, then discarded us both when his scheme fell apart. I'm testifying because Sarah deserves the truth. We both do. The security footage from Tyler came next. 3 months of Michael's movements, proving he'd lied about his whereabouts consistently. The forensic accountant presented evidence of embezzlement, 63 instances of stolen funds, totaling $800,000. But the most damaging evidence was Michael's own words. That drunken phone call where he'd admitted never wanting children, where he'd blamed Sarah for the miscarriages, where he'd confessed to the affair with vicious satisfaction. The judge's face grew stonier with each piece of evidence. When it was Michael's turn to testify, he tried his boardroom charm. Your Honor, I made mistakes. I was under tremendous pressure with the company, and I handled it poorly. But I love my daughter. I want to be in her life. The daughter you referred to as her obsession? Judge Williams asked coldly. The child you plan to remove from her mother through false mental health allegations? That was taken out of context. Mr. Carter, the judge interrupted, I've reviewed extensive evidence, including your own words, stating you never wanted children. Can you explain that context? Michael faltered. For the first time, the mask slipped completely, revealing the desperate man underneath. I was angry. I didn't mean it. What else didn't you mean? Grace asked on cross-examination. Did you not mean to steal $800,000? Did you not mean to conduct a 3-month affair? Did you not mean to conspire to paint my client as mentally unfit while she grew your child? By the time she was done, Michael looked like he'd been flayed alive. The judge's ruling was swift and decisive. Mr. Carter, I find your behavior throughout this matter to be reprehensible. You emotionally abused a pregnant woman, committed financial fraud, and attempted to weaponize the court system for your own gain. She turned to Sarah. Ms. Miller, you have shown remarkable strength and clarity throughout this ordeal. There is no question in my mind that you are fully capable of providing a loving, stable home for your child. I hereby grant full legal and physical custody to Sarah Miller. Mr. Carter, you are granted supervised visitation once monthly for 2 hours contingent upon your completion of parenting classes and therapy. Given your financial crimes and current legal situation, I'm setting child support at the minimum allowable amount to be reassessed upon your gainful employment. Michael made it sound like he'd been punched. His lawyer whispered urgently, but the judge wasn't finished. Furthermore, I'm issuing a restraining order. Mr. Aman Carter, you are to stay 500 feet away from Ms. Miller, except during supervised visitations. Any violation will result in immediate arrest. Your Honor, Michael's lawyer protested, my client has no history of violence. Your client has an extensive history of emotional manipulation and escalating behavior, Judge Williams corrected. The restraining order stands. We're adjourned. Sarah felt her knees buckle slightly. Grace caught her arm. You did it, her friend whispered. You won. In the hallway, Michael tried to approach. Security stopped him at the prescribed distance. Sarah, please, he called out. This isn't over. She's my daughter, too. Sarah turned, meeting his eyes for the last time. No, Michael. She's my daughter. You made your choice when you decided I was disposable, when you chose my best friend over your family, when you tried to steal her from me. She'll know your name, but she'll never know your cruelty. She walked away, Grace beside her, leaving him standing in the marble hallway of his own destruction. Outside the courthouse, reporters waited. Sarah had refused all interviews, but she'd prepared a statement. Today, justice was served, she read from her phone, not just for me, but for every woman who's been gaslit, manipulated, and betrayed. My daughter will grow up knowing her worth isn't determined by any man's validation. Thank you to everyone who supported us through this journey. Now, if you'll excuse me, I have a nursery to finish. 3 weeks later, Sarah woke to the familiar pressure that had haunted her dreams since Thanksgiving. But this time, it didn't stop. This time, it was real. It's time, she told her reflection at 3 a.m., calm despite the contractions. She'd been ready for weeks. Hospital bag packed, birthing plan prepared, support system in place. Grace met her at Mount Sinai. Marie Carter arrived within an hour, and even Tyler showed up, looking awkward but determined to support his favorite neighbor. Labor was long but uncomplicated. Sarah had refused an epidural, wanting to feel everything, to be present for every moment of her daughter's arrival. Through each contraction, she thought of all the women who'd reached out during her viral storm, sharing their own stories of betrayal and rebirth. You're doing amazing, Grace coached, holding her hand. She's almost here, Dr. Martinez announced. One more push, Sarah. And then, at 11:47 p.m. on December 21st, the winter solstice, the longest night giving way to returning light, Emma Grace Miller entered the world, 6 pounds, 3 ounces of perfection, with her mother's dark hair and a cry that announced she was nobody's victim. Sarah held her daughter, tears streaming, and whispered, "We made it, baby girl. We made it." The nurse asked about visitors. "There's a gentleman in the waiting room, says he's the father." "He's not allowed in," Grace said firmly. "Court order." But Marie Carter was allowed, and she entered with tears in her eyes. "Oh, Sarah, she's perfect. May I?" Sarah passed Emma to her grandmother, watching Marie's face soften. "You'll be better than all of us," Marie whispered to the baby. "Your mama will make sure of it." Later, as Sarah nursed Emma in the quiet of her room, she opened Instagram for the first time in days. She posted a simple photo, Emma's tiny hand wrapped around her finger. "She's here. Emma Grace Miller, born on the winter solstice. The longest night is over. The light returns. Thank you all for holding us in your hearts. We are complete." The likes and comments flooded in immediately, but Sarah didn't watch. She was too busy memorizing her daughter's face, the way her nose scrunched when she slept, the perfect shell of her ears. A notification caught her eye. A DM from Lily. "Congratulations, she's beautiful. I'm leaving New York tomorrow, starting fresh in Portland. Thank you for letting me tell the truth. I hope Emma grows up knowing how fierce her mother is, how loved she is. Be happy, Sarah. You deserve it." Sarah read it once, then archived it. That chapter was closed. As Christmas Eve dawned outside her window, Sarah Miller, a single mother, viral sensation, survivor, held her daughter close and made new promises. Not to a husband or a friend or an audience, but to this tiny person who'd weathered the storm with her. "I promise to show you what strength looks like," she whispered. "What truth sounds like. What love, real love, feels like. And I promise you'll never doubt your worth, never shrink yourself for anyone, never accept less than you deserve." Emma yawned, a tiny perfect movement, and settled deeper into her mother's arms. Outside, snow began to fall, covering the city in fresh white. A new beginning. A clean slate. And in room 423 of Mount Sinai Hospital, Sarah Miller finally understood what gratitude really meant. Not the performed kind she'd posted for strangers, but the bone-deep kind that comes from surviving your worst nightmare and finding yourself still standing. "Happy first Christmas, my love," she whispered to her daughter. "Welcome to our beautifully imperfect life." 1 year later, Thanksgiving arrived in New York with unusual warmth, the kind of golden November day that made the city feel blessed. Sarah Miller stood in her kitchen, the same kitchen where her life had shattered a year ago. But everything was different now. Emma, 11 months old with her mother's dark hair and her grandmother's determined chin, banged happily on her high chair tray. She'd started walking last week, a milestone Sarah had captured not for Instagram, but for herself. The camera roll on her phone was full of videos meant for no audience but her own heart. "Mama!" Emma shrieked, reaching for the wooden spoon Sarah was using to stir cranberry sauce. "Not yet, little turkey," Sarah laughed, kissing her daughter's head. "That's hot." The doorbell rang. Sarah checked the video monitor on her, a habit she'd developed over the past year, then buzzed in her guests. Grace arrived first, arms full of wine and flowers. "Happy Thanksgiving, warrior. How's our girl?" "Perfect," Sarah said, accepting a hug. "Loud, stubborn, absolutely perfect." Marie Carter swept in next, elegant in winter white, carrying enough toys to stock a small store. "Where's my granddaughter? Gigi needs her Emma fix." Emma squealed, "Gigi!" and reached for Marie, who scooped her up with practiced ease. The bond between them had been immediate and fierce. Marie had become the mother Sarah had needed, the grandmother Emma deserved. Tyler and his parents arrived next, bringing homemade pie and excited chatter about his MIT acceptance. He turned his security footage skills into a computer science scholarship, though he still kept an eye on the building's comings and goings. "Any drama for the anniversary?" he asked, setting up his phone to record Emma's first Thanksgiving feast. "No drama," Sarah assured him. "Just gratitude. Real gratitude this time." The apartment had been transformed over the past year. Gone were the sterile surfaces meant for photography, replaced by comfortable furniture that could withstand sticky fingers. The walls held Emma's artwork, abstract smears of color that Sarah treasured more than any designer piece. As they gathered around the table, Sarah felt a profound sense of peace. This was her chosen family, the people who'd stood by her when her constructed world fell apart. "Before we eat," she said, raising her glass of sparkling cider, "I want to say something. A year ago, I thought I knew what gratitude meant. I performed it, posted about it, tried to manifest it into existence. But real gratitude? That comes from surviving your worst day and realizing you're stronger than you knew." "To survival," Grace toasted. "To truth," Marie added. "To new beginnings," Tyler's mother contributed. "To family," Sarah finished. "The kind you choose and the kind that chooses you back." They ate and laughed and passed Emma around the table. She was the center of their universe, blissfully unaware of the circumstances that had brought them all together. As Sarah was clearing plates, her phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. She almost ignored it, then saw the preview. "I know you don't want to hear from me." She stepped into the hallway to read it fully. "I know you don't want to hear from me. I'm not supposed to contact you. But it's Thanksgiving, and I needed to say this. I was wrong. About everything. I threw away the best thing in my life for an illusion. I destroyed our family for nothing. I'm in therapy now. Real therapy, not the performance I did for the court. I understand what I did to you, to Lily, to our daughter. I was sick with narcissism and greed and entitlement. I don't expect forgiveness. I don't expect anything. I just wanted you to know that I finally understand what I lost, what I threw away. I hope Emma knows how lucky she is to have you. I hope she grows up strong like you, not weak like me. Happy Thanksgiving, Sarah. Mio. Sarah stared at the message for a long moment. A year ago, it might have meant something. Might have made her doubt her choices, second-guess her strength. Now it was just words from a stranger who happened to share DNA with her daughter. She screenshotted it for her lawyer, then blocked the number. Some bridges, once burned, didn't need rebuilding. Back in the dining room, Emma had cranberry sauce in her hair and was giggling as Marie tried to clean her up. "Everything okay?" Grace asked quietly. "Everything's perfect," Sarah said, and meant it. Later, after the guests had gone and Emma was asleep in her crib, Sarah sat in the nursery she'd designed herself. No influencer aesthetic, just soft colors and love toys and pictures of their new family covering the walls. She opened her laptop and began to type. 1 year later, a Thanksgiving reflection. Today marks 1 year since my life fell apart on Instagram Live. Since I discovered my husband's affair, went into premature labor, and chose truth over dignity in the most public way possible. I've been quiet on social media since Emma was born. Some of you have asked if I'm okay, if I've recovered, if I've forgiven. The answer is complex, like life itself. Am I okay? Yes, more than okay. I'm free. Have I recovered? You don't recover from betrayal, you rebuild after it. I'm not the same person I was a year ago. That woman was performing life. This woman is living it. Have I forgiven? I've forgiven myself for not seeing the signs, for prioritizing perfection over truth, for believing I needed someone else to complete me. As for others, forgiveness isn't mine to give. It's theirs to earn through changed behavior. What I want you to know, especially those who have reached out with your own stories of betrayal and gaslighting, is this. Your instincts are valid. Your pain is real. Your strength is greater than you know. I didn't save myself with hashtags or viral videos. I saved myself by choosing truth over comfort, by accepting help when offered, by believing I deserve better. The internet fame was just noise. The real work happened in the quiet moments when I chose to rebuild rather than revenge. My daughter is almost 1 now. She walks with determination, laughs with abandon, and trusts with the pure heart of someone who's never been betrayed. I protect that trust fiercely while teaching her that strength comes not from never falling, but from how we rise. To those still in the darkness, the longest night ends. The light returns. Your story isn't over. To those who stood by me, thank you. You know who you are. To my daughter who will read this someday, you were worth every battle, every tear, every moment of doubt. You are not the product of betrayal, but the catalyst for transformation. You saved me by needing me to save myself first. Happy Thanksgiving to all who gather with chosen families, who've learned that blood doesn't always mean loyalty, that marriage doesn't always mean love, that sometimes the most profound gratitude comes from losing everything and discovering you're still whole. We are not defined by who betrays us. We are defined by how we rise. With love and gratitude, Sarah Miller, mother, survivor, truth teller. She posted it without hashtags, without tags, without caring about engagement rates or viral potential. Within minutes, the responses poured in. Women sharing their stories, offering support, thanking her for the reminder that survival was possible. But Sarah didn't read them. Instead, she went to Emma's room, watching her daughter sleep in the soft glow of the nightlight. This tiny person who'd weathered the storm from within, who'd emerged perfect despite the chaos, who'd taught Sarah that love, real love, didn't require performance or perfection. Thank you, she whispered to her sleeping daughter. Thank you for making me brave enough to choose us. Outside, New York glittered with promise and possibility. Somewhere in the city, Michael was likely alone with his regrets. Lily was rebuilding in Portland, according to her mother's Christmas card last year. The world had moved on, as worlds do. But here in apartment 23B, Sarah Miller had built something new from the ashes of her old life. Not a perfect life. Emma had made sure of that with her 3 a.m. wake-ups and spectacular diaper blowouts. But a real one, a true one, a chosen one. As she closed her eyes that night, Sarah thought about the woman she'd been last Thanksgiving. Scared, betrayed, desperately live streaming her pain to strangers. That woman had been brave in her desperation, had chosen spectacle over silence. This woman was brave in her quietude, choosing peace over performance. Both women were her. Both women were necessary. Both women had led her here, to this moment, to this life she'd never planned, but wouldn't trade for any Instagram perfect fantasy. Tomorrow would bring new challenges. Emma was starting daycare next month. Sarah was considering the book deal, thinking about how to tell this story in a way that might help others. Marie wanted to start a foundation for women escaping emotional abuse. Grace was pushing her to date again when she was ready. But tonight, on this Thanksgiving, Sarah Miller was exactly where she needed to be. Home, safe, surrounded by the family she'd chosen and the daughter she'd fought for. The longest night had ended, the light had returned, and the gratitude, real, bone-deep, hard-won gratitude, would last forever. Happy Thanksgiving, she whispered to the universe that had broken her and rebuilt her. Thank you for the worst day of my life. It gave me all the best ones that came after.